The Lagos sun blazed mercilessly over the bustling streets of Victoria Island as 6-year-old Amara walked barefoot through the crowd. Her small frame seemed almost invisible among the suited businessmen and elegantly dressed women hurrying to their offices. The scorching pavement burned her dusty feet, but she pressed forward with quiet determination. Amara's faded yellow dress, once bright and cheerful, now hung loosely on her thin shoulders, stained with dirt and frayed at the edges. Her thick, dark hair was matted and uncombed, and her eyes, large brown and filled with tears she refused to shed, held a sorrow far too heavy for a child her age. In her trembling hands, she clutched a small plastic bag containing nothing but a folded paper and a stubby pencil. That morning, before her mother collapsed again from the mysterious illness ravaging her body, Amara had made a promise. "Mama, I will find work," she had whispered, kissing her mother's burning forehead. "I won't let you die like Papa did." Now, standing before the towering glass structure known as Okonkwo Towers, Amara felt smaller than ever. The building stretched into the sky like a giant made of mirrors and steel, reflecting the clouds above. Everyone said this was where Mr. Chidi Okonkwo worked, the richest man in Nigeria, perhaps in all of West Africa. People called him many things: ruthless, brilliant, untouchable. But Amara only knew one thing. Rich people had money, and money could save her mother. She took a deep breath, wiped her face with the back of her hand, and stepped through the revolving glass doors. The moment Amara entered the lobby, the cool air conditioning hit her like a wave, making her shiver. Her eyes widened at the sight before her. Marble floors so shiny she could see her reflection. Golden chandeliers hanging from impossibly high ceilings, and well-dressed people moving with purpose and confidence. She stood frozen, suddenly aware of how out of place she was. Her bare feet left small dusty prints on the pristine floor. "Hey, you there!" A deep voice boomed across the lobby. A tall security guard in a crisp uniform marched toward her, his face twisted in annoyance. "What are you doing here? This is not a marketplace. Go back outside." Amara's heart pounded, but she stood her ground. "Please, sir," she said softly, her voice barely audible. "I need to see Mr. Okonkwo." The guard laughed, a harsh, mocking sound that made several people turn and stare. "You? See Mr. Okonkwo? Little girl, even governors wait weeks for an appointment. Now move before I carry you out." "Please, I just need to work," Amara insisted, her voice stronger now despite the tears welling in her eyes. "My mama is dying. I can clean, I can carry things, I can." "Enough!" The guard reached for her arm. "Wait!" A gentle voice cut through the tension. A woman in an elegant blue dress and matching head wrap approached them. Her name was Ngozi, and she was Mr. Okonkwo's executive assistant. Something about the little girl's tear-streaked face and determined stance stopped her in her tracks. Ngozi knelt down to Amara's level. "What is your name, child?" "Amara, ma." "And why do you want to work, Amara?" The little girl's lip trembled. "My mama is sick. Very sick. The hospital people say if we don't pay, they will send her away. She's all I have, ma. Papa died 2 years ago. I don't want to be alone." Ngozi's heart clenched. She glanced at the security guard and said firmly, "Leave her alone. I'll handle this." The guard stepped back, muttering under his breath about beggars invading the building. Ngozi took Amara's small, dirty hand in hers. "Come with me, little one. Let's see what we can do." On the 45th floor, in an office larger than most people's homes, Chidi Okonkwo sat behind his massive mahogany desk. His face was set in its usual expression, stern, focused, and completely unreadable. At 42 years old, he had built an empire from nothing, turning a small import business into a multi-billion naira conglomerate. But success had come at a price. Chidi had no time for friendships, no patience for weakness, and absolutely no interest in emotions. After losing his wife and young daughter in a car accident 8 years ago, he had locked his heart away and thrown away the key. His office reflected his personality, cold, efficient, and devoid of warmth. No family photos, no personal touches, just awards, certificates, and floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city he had conquered. When Ngozi knocked and entered, he didn't even look up from the contract he was reviewing. "Sir, there's someone here to see you." "I don't have any appointments scheduled," he replied curtly, still reading. "I know, sir, but this is unusual. It's a child." Now, Chitty looked up, his dark eyes sharp. "A child?" "Yes, sir. A little girl. She walked in from the street, asking for work." Chitty's jaw tightened. "Ngozi, I don't have time for charity cases. Call child services if she's abandoned. Now, if you'll excuse me." "Please, sir." Amara's small voice came from the doorway. She had slipped past Ngozi and now stood in the entrance of the grand office, looking impossibly tiny and fragile. Chitty's eyes narrowed. "How did you?" "I made this for you," Amara interrupted, her voice shaking but determined. She walked forward, pulled out her folded paper from her plastic bag, and placed it on his desk. Chitty stared at the paper, then at the child. Against his better judgment, he unfolded it. It was a drawing, crude and childish, done with colored pencils. It showed a stick figure of a little girl holding out a heart to a tall man in a suit. Below it, in uneven letters, were the words, "Please help me save my mama. I will work very hard. I promise." For several seconds, silence filled the room. Chitty's expression remained unreadable, but his hands, usually so steady, trembled slightly as he held the drawing. "What's your name?" he asked quietly. "Amara, sir." "How old are you?" 6 years, sir." "And your mother?" Amara's eyes filled with tears. "She's at General Hospital. She has a sickness in her blood. The doctors say they need 200,000 naira for treatment, but we have nothing. Mama used to sell vegetables in the market, but she's too weak now. I tried selling pure water on the street, but I only made 500 naira in 3 days." Her voice broke. "Please, sir. I know I'm small, but I can learn. I can sweep your office, wash your car, anything. Just please don't let my mama die." Chitty stood up abruptly, his chair scraping against the floor. He walked to the window, his back to Amara and Ngozi. The silence stretched on so long that Ngozi thought he would refuse. She prepared to lead the child away gently. Then Chitty spoke, his voice low and strained. "My daughter would have been your age." Amara and Ngozi both held their breath. "She died 8 years ago. Her name was Adiz." He turned around, and for the first time in years, his eyes showed something other than cold indifference. They showed pain. "She used to draw pictures like this for me." He walked back to his desk, picked up his phone, and made a call. "Dr. Ease? Chitty Okonkwo. I need you to go to General Hospital immediately. There's a patient there." He looked at Amara. "What's your mother's name?" "Nkem. Nkem Okafor. Nkem Okafor. I want her transferred to Royal Continental Hospital within the hour. I'll cover all expenses." "Yes, everything. Send me the bill." He ended the call and looked at Amara, who stood frozen in shock, tears streaming down her face. "Your mother will get the best treatment in Nigeria," he said. "And you?" He paused, something flickering in his eyes. "You have a job. You're my special assistant." "Sir," Ngozi gasped. "You heard me. Amara is now officially employed by Okonkwo Enterprises. Set up a small desk in here. Get her proper clothes." And Ngozi, he looked at his assistant meaningfully. "Thank you for bringing her to me." Amara couldn't contain herself anymore. She ran around the desk and hugged Chitty's legs, sobbing into his expensive suit trousers. "Thank you, sir. Thank you. God bless you." Chitty stood stiffly and used a physical contact, his hands hovering awkwardly over the child's head. Finally, slowly, he placed one hand on her hair and patted it gently. For the first time in 8 years, the ice around his heart began to crack. Within hours, Amara's world had completely changed. Ngozi took her to a boutique and bought her 3 beautiful dresses, new shoes, and even a small backpack. At a salon, gentle hands washed her hair and styled it into neat cornrows decorated with colorful beads. When Amara looked at herself in the mirror, she barely recognized the clean, well-dressed girl staring back at her. "Is that really me?" she whispered in wonder. Ngozi smiled warmly. "That's you, sweetheart. Beautiful inside and out." Meanwhile, at Royal Continental Hospital, the best private medical facility in Lagos, Kim Okafor had been transferred to a private suite. Nurses bustled around her, running tests and setting up 4 drips. Dr. Ease, the chief physician, examined her thoroughly. When Amara was finally brought to see her mother, Kim wept at the sight of her transformed daughter. "Amara? My baby? What happened? Where did you get these clothes?" Amara climbed onto the hospital bed and hugged her mother carefully. "Mama, I found a good man. A very good man. He's helping us. His name is Mr. Okonkwo, and he says you're going to get better." And Kim's eyes widened. "Chidi Okonkwo, the billionaire?" "Yes, Mama, and he gave me a job." Before Kim could respond, the door opened and Chidi himself entered, still in his business suit. He looked somewhat uncomfortable but determined. And Kim tried to sit up straighter, suddenly self-conscious despite her illness. "Sir, I don't know what to say. How can I ever repay you?" Chidi raised his hand. "Your daughter paid me already. With her courage, with her love for you. That's worth more than money." He spoke with Dr. Ease briefly, learning that Kim had a severe blood infection that had gone untreated for too long due to lack of funds. With proper care, she would recover fully within weeks. As Chidi prepared to leave, Amara took his large hand in her tiny one. "Thank you, Uncle Chidi." Something about that simple gesture, that innocent touch, stirred something deep inside him. He looked down at the child whose eyes reminded him so much of Adiz, and for the first time in years, he smiled. A small, genuine smile. "You're welcome, little one." Word spread quickly through Okonkwo Towers about the little girl who had walked in barefoot and somehow became the CEO's special assistant. Reactions were mixed. Some employees thought it was heartwarming, proof that their boss had a soul after all. Others were skeptical, whispering that it was just a publicity stunt. And a few were outright hostile, particularly those who had spent years trying to get close to the wealthy, eligible bachelor. Chief among them was Adora, the company's chief financial officer. Tall, stunning, and ruthlessly ambitious, Adora had been positioning herself as the future Mrs. Okonkwo for 3 years. She dressed impeccably, laughed at his rare jokes, and worked late whenever he did, hoping he would notice her. But in 3 years, Chidi had never given her more than a professional nod. Now, this child had achieved in one day what Adora couldn't accomplish in years. She had made Chidi Okonkwo smile. On Amara's first official day, she arrived early with Ngozi, wearing a cute yellow dress with white sandals. Her cornrows were freshly done, and she carried her small backpack proudly. Chidi had arranged a child-sized desk in the corner of his office, complete with coloring books, a small laptop for educational games, and even a nameplate that read, Amara Okafor, Special Assistant. Throughout the day, Amara sat quietly, coloring or playing softly while Chidi worked. Occasionally, she would ask innocent questions. "Uncle Chidi, why do you frown so much when you read papers?" "Because some people send me foolish proposals, Amara." "Oh, maybe you should send them back to school." Chidi actually chuckled at that, and several executives in a video conference meeting were shocked to hear the sound. During lunch, Amara insisted on sharing her food with him. "Mama says sharing is caring," she explained seriously, offering him a piece of her meat pie. Chidi, who usually ate expensive meals from 5-star restaurants, found himself accepting a bite of the simple pastry. "Thank you, Amara." "You're welcome. See? You smile more when you eat. You should eat more." By the end of the day, something remarkable had happened. The cold, intimidating office had somehow become warmer. Staff members who usually rushed past Chidi's door now lingered, hoping to catch a glimpse of the little girl who had performed the impossible miracle, melting the Ice King's heart. But not everyone was pleased. That evening, Adora sat in her luxury apartment, a glass of wine in hand, staring at photos on her phone, pictures her assistant had secretly taken of Chidi and Amara together. In one, Chidi was kneeling to tie Amara's shoelace. In another, the little girl sat on his lap while he explained something on his computer. In yet another, they were both laughing at something. Adaora's perfectly manicured nails dug into her palm. She had spent 3 years perfecting herself for this man. She had earned her MBA, clawed her way to the top position in finance, maintained a flawless appearance, and made herself invaluable to his business, all to get his attention. And now some street rat had waltzed in and stolen the affection she had been working toward for years. Unacceptable. Adora made a phone call. Emeka, I need you to look into someone. A woman named Kim Okafor and her daughter Amara. I want to know everything, where they came from, what they're hiding, everything. 2 days later, Emeka, a private investigator, delivered a thin file to Adora's office. There's not much, he said. The woman was married to a mechanic who died 2 years ago. She's been struggling since then, selling vegetables. The child seems legitimate. Clean background. Adora frowned. De deeper. Everyone has secrets. Actually, Emeka hesitated. There is one thing. It's about the child's birth. Go on. I couldn't find any birth certificate or hospital records for Amara Okafor. It's like she didn't exist until 6 years ago when she was registered for some free clinic program. The mother's medical records from that time are odd. Adora leaned forward. Odd how? There's no record of Kim Okafor ever being pregnant or giving birth. A slow, calculating smile spread across Adora's face. The following Monday, during a board meeting, Adora made her move. She waited until Chitty had left the conference room, then turned to the other executives. Has anyone else found it strange, she said casually, how this woman and child appeared out of nowhere and within days of access to our CEO and his resources? Mr. Taiwo, the HR director, frowned. What are you implying, Adora? I'm not implying anything. I'm simply saying we have a responsibility to protect Mr. Okonkwo. He's been through so much, lost so much. What if they're taking advantage of his grief? That's a serious accusation. Ngozi interjected, her voice sharp. I was there when Amara first came. That child was desperate and genuine. Adora smiled sweetly. I'm sure she appeared that way. Children can be very convincing when taught properly. She let that hang in the air before continuing. All I'm saying is maybe someone should verify their story. For Mr. Okonkwo's protection, of course. The seed was planted. By the end of the day, whispers had spread throughout the company. Some people defended Amara. Others questioned the convenient timing of her appearance. The warmth that had begun to fill the office turned into tension. That evening, as Chitty drove Amara to visit her mother, the little girl was quieter than usual. Uncle Chitty, she said softly, some people at the office don't like me. Chitty glanced at her in the rearview mirror. Who said that? Nobody said it, but I can see how they look at me. Like I'm bad. Chitty's jaw tightened. You're not bad, Amara. You're the best thing that's happened to that company in years. Don't let anyone make you feel otherwise. But even as he said the words, doubt crept into his mind. Not doubt about Amara. He knew her heart was pure, but doubt about whether he was equipped to protect her from the cruelty of his world. At the hospital, Kim was looking much better. The color had returned to her cheeks, and she could sit up without assistance. When Amara burst into the room, Kim hugged her daughter tightly. My baby, look at you, so beautiful. Chitty stood in the doorway, watching them with an expression that was becoming familiar to him now. Longing mixed with bittersweet memory. Mr. Okonkwo, Kim called to him. Please come in. Sit. I need to speak with you. Once Amara was occupied with a picture book Ngozi had given her, Kim turned to Chitty, her expression serious. Sir, I need to tell you something. About Amara. Chitty felt his stomach tighten. What about her? Kim took a deep breath. She's not my biological daughter. The words hung in the air like smoke. Chitty's face remained neutral, but his mind raced. 6 years ago, Kim continued, her voice shaking slightly. My husband and I were trying to have children, but couldn't. We had given up hope. Then one night, we heard crying outside our compound. When we went to check, we found a newborn baby wrapped in expensive cloth, lying in a basket. Tears filled her eyes. There was a note. It said the mother couldn't keep her baby, but wanted her to have a good life. We took her to the police, but no one claimed her. After 3 months, we were allowed to take her in. We loved her as our own. When my husband died, she was all I had left. Does she know? Chitty asked quietly. No. To her. I am her mama, and that will never change. Chitty nodded slowly. That's good. She doesn't need to know unless you decide to tell her. You raised her, loved her, sacrifice for her. That makes you her mother." Kim wiped her tears. "Thank you for understanding. I was afraid you might think differently of us." "Never," Chitty said firmly. "Love is what makes a family, not blood." But even as he said it, a thought occurred to him, a crazy, impossible thought. He pushed it aside. It was too absurd to consider. Or was it? That night, Chitty sat in his study at home, staring at a box he hadn't opened in 8 years. Inside were memories of his wife and daughter, photos, Adi's baby clothes, her birth certificate. He opened it slowly, his hands shaking. There, among the photos, was the last picture ever taken of his family. Him, his wife Chioma, and little Adi's at the park, all smiling. His wife had been wearing a yellow dress that day. Yellow, like the one Amara wore on her first day. Chitty's eyes moved to another photo, Adi's as a newborn, wrapped in a white blanket with gold embroidery. His mother had given him that blanket, calling it a family heirloom. His breath caught. The expensive cloth Kim mentioned. Could it be? No, he whispered to himself. It's impossible. Adi's died in the accident. We buried her. But the more he thought about it, the more questions arose. The accident had been catastrophic. The car had plunged into a river at night. Chioma's body was recovered immediately. But Adi's body had been found 3 days later, downstream, badly decomposed. The identification had been made based on her clothing and age. What if there had been a mistake? What if, in the chaos of the accident, someone had taken his daughter? Chitty grabbed his phone and dialed his head of security. "Colonel, I need you to find someone for me. A midwife or nurse who worked in Lagos 6 years ago. Someone who might have handled an abandoned baby case." He paused, then added, "And, Colonel, do this quietly. Very quietly." Meanwhile, Adora was making her own moves. She had accidentally leaked information about Amara's adoption to several gossip blogs and social media accounts. By Tuesday morning, the story had exploded online. Billionaire's new daughter, not who she seems. Chidi Okonkwo deceived by street family? Adopted child wins heart of Nigeria's most eligible bachelor. The comment section was vicious. People questioned Nkem's motives, called Amara a prop, and accused Chidi of being foolish. When Chidi arrived at the office, his phone was already ringing off the hook with calls from PR, board members, and media outlets. His face was thunderous. "Who leaked this?" he demanded as soon as he saw Ngozi. "I don't know, sir, but the timing is suspicious. Someone wanted to hurt Amara." "Where is she?" "She's in your office." "She doesn't know yet." Chidi stormed into his office to find Amara at her little desk, coloring peacefully. When she saw him, she smiled brightly. "Good morning, Uncle Chidi." His expression softened immediately. "Good morning, little one." He decided she would not learn about the cruel stories. Not if he could help it. But Adora had other plans. At noon, she arranged an emergency board meeting and invited several board members who were already skeptical of Chidi's attachment to the child. "Mr. Chairman," she began formally, addressing the oldest board member. "I've called this meeting because I believe our CEO is making decisions based on emotion rather than logic." "That's enough, Adora," Chidi warned, his voice dangerously quiet. "Is it though? This child has been here for 2 weeks, and already our company image is suffering. The media is having a field day. Our shareholders are asking questions. And for what? A child who isn't even who she claimed to be. She never claimed to be anything other than a child who needed help," Chidi said coldly. "A child who conveniently appeared with a sob story right when you were vulnerable. A child who just happened to remind you of your dead daughter." The room went silent. Several board members looked uncomfortable. Ngozi stood up angrily, but Chidi raised his hand to stop her. "You're fired," Chidi said simply. Adora blinked. "What? You're fired, Adora? Effective immediately. You'll have 1 hour to clear your office." "You can't fire me. I'm a CFO. I bring in millions. You just disrespected a child in my presence and used my personal tragedy to make a point in a business meeting. That shows a lack of character I will not tolerate in my company. Security will escort you out." Adora's face turned red with rage and humiliation. "You'll regret this. That little brat has you wrapped around her finger, and you're too blind to see it." "Get out," Chidi said coldly. "Now!" As security led a protesting Adora away, Chitty turned to the shocked board members. Let me be clear. Amara stays. Anyone who has a problem with that can submit their resignation by end of day. This meeting is adjourned. That evening, after Amara had gone to visit her mother, Chitty met with Cunnel, his head of security, who had brought a woman in her 60s. Sir, this is Nurse Blessing. She worked at the government hospital 6 years ago. The woman looked nervous but determined. Mr. Okonkwo, Cunnel told me you have questions about an abandoned baby case from that time? Yes. Do you remember a newborn found abandoned 6 years ago? The couple who took her in were named Okafor. Nurse Blessing's eyes widened. I do remember. It was unusual because the baby was found wrapped in expensive cloth, very expensive, with gold thread embroidery. We all wondered how such a valuable item ended up in the street. Chitty's heart pounded. Do you still have any records? Anything from that time? The official records were minimal since she was abandoned. But, she hesitated, I kept a photograph. I'm not supposed to, but the baby was so beautiful, and something about the case bothered me. I felt like she came from somewhere important. She pulled out her phone and showed him a 6-year-old photo. There was baby Amara, wrapped in a blanket that Chitty recognized immediately. It was his family's heirloom blanket. The one of these had been wrapped in the day she was born. Dear God, Chitty whispered, his legs suddenly weak. It's her. It's really her. Sir, that's my daughter. My D's. Tears streamed down his face. She didn't die. Someone took her from the accident and abandoned her. My baby girl survived. Cunnel gripped his shoulder. Sir, we need to be sure. We should run a DNA test. Chitty nodded, wiping his tears. Yes. Yes, of course. But Cunnel, I already know. A father knows his child. I felt it from the moment I saw her. I just didn't want to believe it was possible. The DNA test was conducted discreetly. 3 agonizing days later, the results came back. 99.99% probability of paternity. Amara Okafor was Adiz Okonkwo. Chitty sat alone in his office, holding the report, sobbing like he hadn't sobbed since the day of the accident. His daughter, his precious daughter, had been alive all this time, growing up in poverty while he mourned her. And Kim, the woman who had saved her, loved her, raised her as her own. How could he ever repay such a debt? Chitty requested a private meeting with Kim at the hospital. His hand shook as he entered her room, the DNA report in a folder. Mr. Okonkwo, is everything okay? Where's Amara? She's with Ngozi. They're getting ice cream. He sat down heavily. Kim, I need to tell you something, and I need you to stay calm. Her eyes widened with worry. What is it? He opened the folder and showed her the DNA report. Amara is my biological daughter. Her real name is Adiz Okonkwo. She was in the car accident that killed my wife 8 years ago. I thought she died, but someone must have pulled her from the wreckage and then abandoned her out of fear. Kim's hand flew to her mouth. Oh my God. Oh my God. Tears streamed down her face. I'm going to lose her, aren't I? Chitty's expression softened. Listen to me carefully. You saved my daughter's life twice. Once when you found her as a baby, and once when you raised her with love despite having nothing. You fed her when you were hungry. You kept her clean when you had no water. You taught her kindness in a world that was cruel to you both. He took her hands gently. You are her mother. Biology doesn't change that. And I would never, ever take her from you. And Kim sobbed openly now. But sir, you're her father. You have every right. And you have every right as the woman who saved her and loved her. We'll share her. We'll both be her parents. That is, if you're willing. Kim looked up confused. What do you mean? Chitty smiled softly. I mean, we'll be a family. The 3 of us. Amara will have both her parents. The one who gave her life and the one who saved it. But people will talk. They'll say I trapped you, that I knew who she was. Let them talk. I know the truth. You could have sold that blanket. It's worth millions. But you kept it for her. You had no idea who she was, yet you sacrificed everything for her. That's the definition of a mother. Thank you, and Kim whispered. Thank you for not taking her from me. Thank you for keeping her safe until I could find her again. They decided to tell Amara together. That evening, in Kim's hospital room, they sat on either side of the bed while the little girl looked between them curiously. Am I in trouble? She asked worriedly. No, sweetheart, and Kim said, taking her hand. We just need to tell you something important. Chitty cleared his throat, suddenly nervous. Amara, do you remember when I told you about my daughter who died? She nodded. At ease. You said she would be my age. Yes. Well, I was wrong. She didn't die. Someone saved her from the accident and then left her somewhere safe, hoping someone kind would find her. Amara's eyes widened. Someone did find her. Your mama found her, Chitty said softly. Amara, you are at ease. You're my daughter. My biological daughter. The little girl blinked, processing this information. So, you my daddy? My real daddy. Yes. But, she looked at Kim, confused and suddenly afraid. Does that mean Mama isn't my mama anymore? No, baby, Kim said quickly, pulling her close. I will always be your mama. Always. But now you have two parents, Chitty added. The one who gave you life and the one who saved it. We both love you. We both want you. Amara looked between them, her young mind trying to understand. So I get to keep both of you? Yes, they said in unison. A slow smile spread across her face. So, I'm not an orphan anymore. Chitty lifted her into his arms. You were never an orphan, my princess. You were just lost for a while. But now you're found. Amara hugged him tightly, then reached out to include Kim. I love you both. We love you too. They answered, all three of them holding each other and crying tears of joy. The news of Amara's true identity spread like wildfire. The same media outlets that had criticized Chitty now celebrated the miraculous reunion. The story captured the nation's heart. A billionaire who unknowingly saved his own daughter, a mother who selflessly raised a child who wasn't hers, and a little girl whose courage brought them all together. Adora, watching from her apartment where she'd been sulking since being fired, saw the news and felt a wave of shame. She had been so blinded by jealousy that she had nearly destroyed a miracle. She called Chitty's office. Sir, I owe you an apology. Yes, you do, he replied coolly. But you don't owe it to me. You owe it to Amara and Kim. May I come to the office tomorrow? I'd like to apologize in person, and I'll understand if you never forgive me. There was a pause. Come tomorrow. But know this, you hurt a child. That's not something I take lightly. The next day, Adora appeared at Okonkwo Towers wearing simple clothes, no makeup, her usually proud demeanor replaced with genuine humility. Ngozi led her to Chitty's office where Amara was playing with blocks on the floor while Chitty worked. Mr. Okonkwo, Adora said quietly. Thank you for seeing me. Chitty gestured to a chair, but said nothing. Adora knelt down to Amara's level. Amara, I was very mean to you. I said terrible things because I was jealous and angry. But that's no excuse. You're a beautiful, kind little girl, and I'm sorry for hurting you. Amara studied her for a moment, then asked innocently, Are you sad? The simple question broke something in Adora. Yes, I'm very sad about what I did. Mama says when you're sorry for real, you try to be better. Amara picked up one of her blocks and offered it to Adora. You can play with me if you want. Playing makes people feel better. Tears rolled down Adora's cheeks. This child, whom she had tried to destroy, was offering her kindness. Thank you, Amara. You're much kinder than I deserve. Chitty spoke then, his voice firm but not unkind. Adora, what you did was wrong. But I believe in second chances. Amara has taught me that. I won't rehire you, but I'll write you a recommendation. You're talented, but you need to work on your character. I understand. Thank you, sir. She stood and turned to leave, then paused. Mr. Okonkwo, you're a very lucky man. Not because of your money, but because you have her. For the first time, Adora smiled genuinely, and Chitty nodded in agreement. I know. Over the next few months, a beautiful transformation took place. Kim made a full recovery and moved into a guest house on Chitty's estate. A comfortable 3-bedroom home with a garden where she could grow vegetables if she wished. I don't want charity, she had insisted when Chitty first suggested it. It's not charity, he replied. Amara needs her mother close. And truthfully, I need you close too. You understand her in ways I'm still learning. Kim worked full-time at the Okonkwo Foundation, managing programs for abandoned and orphan children. Her personal experience made her invaluable, as she poured her heart into helping children who had faced similar struggles. Amara enrolled in the best private school in Lagos, but she remained the same humble, kind child. She made friends easily, shared her lunch with classmates who forgot theirs, and often asked her father to help children she met who were struggling. "Daddy, there's a girl in my class whose father died. Can we help her mama find work?" "Of course, princess. Have her mama come see me." Chitty found himself saying of course to many of Amara's requests. She had awakened something in him. Not just love, but purpose beyond profit. He established the Adiz Foundation in honor of his daughter's journey, providing education, healthcare, and opportunities for underprivileged children across Nigeria. Every evening, the three of them had dinner together. Sometimes they ate at Chitty's main house, sometimes at Nkem's cottage. They became a family, unconventional, perhaps, but filled with genuine love. One evening, about 6 months after the reunion, Chitty and Kim sat on her porch while Amara played in the garden, chasing butterflies. "She's happy," Kim observed softly. "Happier than I ever imagined she could be." "Because of you," Chitty replied. "You gave her a foundation of love that no amount of money could buy." Kim was quiet for a moment, then said carefully, Chitty, people are talking. People always talk. They're saying things. About us. About why I'm here, what my intentions are." Chitty turned to look at her. Over the past months, he had come to appreciate not just her sacrifice for Amara, but her wisdom, her strength, her gentle spirit. She was beautiful in a way that had nothing to do with the expensive clothes or makeup that women like Adora wore. Her beauty came from within. "What are they saying?" he asked. "That I'm after your money. That I trapped you by raising your daughter. That she paused, embarrassed. That I'm trying to seduce you. And are you?" Kim's eyes widened. "No, of course not. I would never." Chitty smiled gently. "I know. I was teasing. Kim, I don't care what people say, but I do care what you think. Are you happy here?" "Very happy. For the first time in years, I'm not worried about money for food or medicine. I have meaningful work. I have my daughter healthy and safe. I'm grateful every day." "Good. Then let them talk." He paused, choosing his next words carefully. "But what if there was truth to what they're saying? Not about you pursuing me, but about us?" Kim's breath caught. "What do you mean?" We're already a family in every way except one. Amara has 2 parents who love her, but those parents are living separately, and people whisper, "What if we made it official?" Official. Marriage, Kim. What if we got married? Kim stood up abruptly, her heart pounding. "Chitty, you don't have to do that. I don't need a wedding ring to be part of Amara's life. You've already given me so much. That's not why I'm asking." Chitty stood and took her hands gently. "I'm asking because somewhere in these past 6 months, between dinner conversations and watching you braid Amara's hair and seeing how you've transformed the foundation with your compassion, I've fallen in love with you." Tears sprang to Kim's eyes. You love me? I didn't think I could love again after Chioma died. But you've shown me that the heart has infinite capacity. I love you, Kim. Not because you raised my daughter, but because of who you are. You're strong, compassionate, selfless, and real. And if you'll have me, I'd be honored to call you my wife. Kim couldn't speak. She just cried and nodded, and Chitty pulled her into his arms. From the garden, Amara's voice rang out. "Are you two kissing?" "You." They broke apart, laughing. Amara ran up to them, suspicious. "What are you doing?" "Your daddy just asked me to marry him," and Kim said, wiping her tears. Amara's eyes went wide. "Does that mean we'll all live in the same house?" "Yes," Chitty said. "And you'll be married like other parents?" "Yes." Amara jumped up and down, squealing. "Yes, yes, yes. Now I'll be like my friends with a mommy and a daddy in the same house." She grabbed both their hands. "Can we tell Annie Ngozi? Can we have a big party? Can I wear a pretty dress?" "Yes to all of that," Chitty laughed, scooping her up. "But right now, can we just enjoy this moment? The 3 of us." They sat together on the porch steps, Amara between them, watching the sunset paint the Lagos sky in brilliant oranges and purples. A family born from tragedy, reunited by courage, and bound together by love. 3 months later, Lego Society witnessed what many called the wedding of the decade. But it wasn't the expensive decorations or the celebrity guests that made it memorable. It was the love that radiated from everyone involved. The ceremony took place at a beautiful garden venue. Kim wore a stunning white and gold traditional Nigerian wedding dress, her head adorned with an elegant gele. She looked like royalty, and when Chidi saw her walking down the aisle, tears filled his eyes. Amara served as the flower girl, wearing a miniature version of her mother's dress. She took her job very seriously, carefully dropping rose petals and waving at guests she recognized. When the officiant asked if anyone objected to the union, Amara shouted from her seat in the front row, "Nobody better say anything. This is my mommy and daddy getting married." The entire venue erupted in laughter and applause. During the vows, Chidi spoke not just in Kim, but to the whole family. "Kim, you saved my daughter when I couldn't. You loved her when you had nothing to give but love. You showed me that family is not just about blood. It's about sacrifice, dedication, and unconditional love. I promise to spend the rest of my life making you as happy as you've made us." Kim's vows were simple but powerful. "Chidi, 6 years ago, God gave me a precious gift wrapped in a golden blanket. I didn't know she was yours, but I knew she was meant to be loved. Today, God has given me another gift, a partner, a friend, and a man who sees me not for what I didn't have, but for what I gave. I promise to love you and honor you all the days of my life." When they kissed, the celebration that followed was joyful and genuine. Even Adora, who had been invited as a gesture of forgiveness, found herself crying happy tears. "This is what love should look like," she whispered to Ngozi, who stood beside her. "Yes," Ngozi agreed, and it all started with a little girl's courage. 5 years passed. The Okonkwo family became one of Nigeria's most beloved families, not because of their wealth, but because of their story and their continued dedication to helping others. The Adiz Foundation had grown exponentially, providing education to thousands of underprivileged children and reuniting dozens of families torn apart by poverty and circumstance. Amara, now 11 years old, was thriving. She excelled in school, played the piano beautifully, and had inherited both her father's business acumen and her mother's compassionate heart. She often accompanied her parents to foundation events, speaking confidently about the importance of helping others. One Saturday morning, Amara rushed into her parents' bedroom, where Chidi and Kim were still sleeping, wrapped in each other's arms. "Mommy, Daddy, wake up," Chidi groaned. "Princess, it's 6 in the morning. It's Saturday." "I know, but I had the most important dream." Kim sat up, pulling Amara onto the bed. "Tell us about your dream, baby." "I dreamed about the day I walked into Daddy's office. Remember when I was 6? How could we forget?" Chidi said, now fully awake. "That was the day that changed everything. In my dream, I saw myself as a little girl, so scared and dirty. And I saw Daddy looking so sad and angry. And I realized something." "What did you realize?" Kim asked. "That God planned everything. He made me brave enough to go to that big building. He made Daddy's heart soft enough to help me. He made sure I found Daddy again. And he gave me the best mommy in the world who saved me when she didn't have to." Tears filled both parents' eyes. "And you know what else?" Amara continued. "Now I want to help other children be brave like I was. When I grow up, I'm going to run the Adiz Foundation and find more lost children and bring them home." Chidi pulled his daughter close. "You're already making a difference, my princess. Every day, you remind me why we do this work." Kim hugged them both. "We're so proud of you, Amara." "I'm proud of us," Amara declared. "We're the best family ever. We started with nothing, and now we have everything, because we have each other." 10 years later, Amara Okonkwo, now 21 and fresh out of university with degrees in business and social work, stood before a crowd of thousands at the Adiz Foundation's anniversary gala. Behind her on the stage sat her parents, Chidi and Kim Okonkwo, their hair now touched with gray, but their love for each other and their daughter stronger than ever. 20 years ago, Amara began, her voice clear and confident. A little 6-year-old girl walked barefoot into a tall building with nothing but hope and a crayon drawing. She didn't know that the cold-hearted billionaire inside was actually her father. She didn't know that the woman who raised her from infancy had saved her from certain death. She just knew she needed help, and she was brave enough to ask. She paused, emotion filling her voice. That little girl was me. And standing here today, I want to tell every child watching this, every child who feels lost or scared or alone, your courage matters. Your voice matters. One moment of bravery can change not just your life, but the lives of everyone around you. The crowd erupted in applause. My father taught me that wealth is meaningless if it doesn't serve others. My mother taught me that love is the greatest treasure. Together, they taught me that family is not defined by blood alone, but by sacrifice, commitment, and unconditional acceptance. She turned to her parents, tears streaming down her face. Mommy, Daddy, thank you for showing me what true love looks like. Thank you for building a family from broken pieces and making something beautiful. Chitty and Kim stood and embraced their daughter as the audience rose to their feet, applauding not just the speech, but the miracle of a family reunited and a legacy of love that would touch generations to come. As the three of them stood together on that stage, Amara whispered, "We did it, didn't we? We turned our pain into purpose." "No, my princess," Chitty whispered back, kissing her forehead. "You did it. You walked in my office and saved me. Everything else just followed." And Kim added softly, "God brought us together through you, my daughter. You were always meant to be our bridge." And as the applause continued and cameras flashed, the Okonkwo family stood together, a testament to the power of courage, the miracle of second chances, and the unbreakable bond of true family love.